Howdy folks, we've got ourselves a rookie review. First game on the new computer. Hope the settings are finally better. We've got Laertes versus GeneralPip. Laertes starting fire and Pip starting shadow. Laertes takes the first well while Pip opts for the center. Let's see how this pans out. Is Pip going to go for an immediate well? Looks like he does. And I agree with Laertes right here. I think he's going to try and pressure a little bit, but not that much. I think I tend to find the fire doesn't pressure super well against shadow in low power levels. But that's fine. Especially depends on the deck matchup. If Laertes is pure fire, the center I think can often make a very easy place to target. So both players kind of jostling around. Pip takes another well. This could be an opportunity for Laertes to push, but pushing without spawning more units is not going to do anything. And in fact, it's Pip who's making more units, so Laertes is probably going to lose all of his units. The activating Forsaken, I think, is not doing anything, and actually the Scavenger gets away just barely, because the charge shot didn't have enough power, I think. So Laertes is actually coming away even. Kind of even, almost even. When Pip sucks these up, he'll be ahead. And there we go, now we've got to spawn more units to go on the attack. So this could be a little bit scary offensive. I think Sunstriders could spread out a little bit, and I think Laertes could also take his time a little bit more. Maybe go for another Sunder on this side. Oh, there's a mine. Interesting, that's tricky, and it looks like Pip is going to run right into it. The Dread Charger was almost a good body block. And yeah, good job cleaning up these units, and I think the Sunder is going to be in a good position. I would definitely be moving the Sunstriders around the sides to make a powerful nasty less possible. Pip spawned 2 Forsaken, which I think is fine because they're both defensive units, and they're the best units you can go for a counter push, but it looks like this well is dropping for sure. So while it's dropping, I wouldn't bother getting a Scavenger in this fight, I'd just run away, and especially because these are frenzied, so they're going to die anyway. So good push from Laertes by punishing that greedy well. And he can safely take a well here, especially because Pip takes that well. So very good position for Laertes. And what I would do here, especially if Pip isn't spawning anything more because the void is kind of high, going for 2 Sunders maybe. Yeah, so this Sunder is a little bit premature. You could spawn it back here to be undazed. I think he's probably going to die right here. At the very least, he's going to get traded kind of poorly. Yeah, so this Under, I mean, I guess it's possible it works because Laertes has some power. He could take advantage of the tempo, but if he just was a little bit more patient and made like 2 Sunders, this would be a much more successful attack. Yeah, here it's going to be close. Hard to say if that eruption is going to be in time. Okay, it was. This did come out. So very commanding lead for Laertes, spawning this ahead. I think Pip's, yeah, had some very slight micro things that could have gone, but it's a really tough position to be down in power here because of the first very greedy well. So Pip is taking another well, which is, I guess, the best he can do. Yeah, this gameplay is actually not that rookie level-ish. Bit premature frenzy, so Laertes can just walk away. And we got the Dread Charger that can suck these up if needed, and going for another Sunder push. I think that's a good call. I'd put the Sunder more on the north to kind of force a split attack. And you want to get a little bit of attack on the Dread Charger. It'd actually be better if you could hit the Dread Charger before it sucks up units, because right now, if you damage the Dread Charger, it can still nasty for full damage. If you damage it a little bit earlier, then it can't nasty for full damage. Good job on Pip making these Forsaken earlier. Forsaken are useful at everything. Ooh, that mine probably is not going to be worth it. The Sunder is going to beat the Dread Charger, and I guess the mine is going to stop the Dread Charger from coming back. So Laertes can get some good trades here. Looks like he's still coming to push with the Sunder. Personally, I would say you've made your trades, especially when these frenzy, just back up. But it looks like he's just going straight directly for the wall. Yeah, if you baited out the Forsaken to frenzy, then you kind of made a decent trade. You can just run away and come back with a later tempo. The power level right now is still low enough that instant tier 2 is not really a concern, especially as fire. You can rush that down fairly easily. Yeah, so I'm very good with the 2 Sunders, and you want to kind of have them split and going in 2 different directions. Yeah, so there we go. Oh, this Thunder's going for the main base. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's better. You can see Laertes has some power. I'd make more Sunstriders, because right here, this Nasty could potentially be powerful. Okay. The mine was kind of useful, maybe. I mean, I guess it was about as useful as an Eruption, but I wouldn't particularly have thought an Eruption would be very good there. Now, GeneralPip, I think, is frenzying a bit too much. If instead of frenzying, he just accepts that the well's going to die, leaves his Forsaken alive, he can then go for a counter push and kick the well back. So that's one thing for Pip, I think. A little bit too trigger happy on the frenzies. And now Laertes has got a significant power lead, 300 power. You can see that power difference there. And Sunburrs are coming out. I think, yeah, okay, well, getting those guys to knock out one small micro point, I guess. You could knock them back with a Sunder and then come away, and you get slightly more time. And yeah, Pip's on the offensive now, and this is clustering up for a good Eruption, especially with this power levels. So Laertes should be able to defend this fairly easily, and he's spamming Sunders, which, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Point to take away here is that you want to have your units coming in at once, right? Because having this big power, this tempo advantage doesn't really matter if your units are still fighting one at a time, right? So I mean, I think Laertes is going to be fine because he's got such a tremendous lead right now. But that's a thing to be aware of, right? Is that if your units just come in one at a time, then what's the point of having a unit advantage, right? The point of the unit advantage is that you have much higher DPS, so you can trade more effectively. At the end, though, I think Brute Force is going to be fairly successful here, yeah. At this point, Laertes can just erupt all day long and keep kicking the well down. So this is, yeah, kind of brutal. And Pip didn't make that many mistakes, so just kind of micro mistakes, and again, that biggest mistake was taking the greedy well and letting Laertes push. But otherwise, good recognition of the need to push, and now we've got a Tier 2 coming up from Pip. So we'll see if Laertes is wanting to push it. He's taken a well. Did he take that well just now? He took that well a little bit. I think, yeah, that well was probably not the best decision. I think going Tier 2 is fine, especially he's got the power to go Tier 2, so just go Tier 2. Yeah, there we go. That mine not doing that much. Though a couple teams here, the mine's been kind of overwhelming. But he does have this, you know, tons of tempo with the Sunders. Okay, and we've got a Light Blade that can stall out the Sunder. At the end of the day, though, Pip's still got 2 fewer wells than Laertes, so it is really hard to see a comeback happening. Could happen. I'd say what Pip needs to hope happens is that we get a lot of power in the game, right? Because there's a certain point that when you've got so much power, having even more power doesn't really matter. And Laertes is just trying to brute force this. I think that's not a good move, because Glacier and Kobold is way more effective. Okay, so Pip is looking like he's going to try a counter-offensive. Let's look at his power. Yeah, that's, I mean, might work. Let's see, he dodged the mine. Okay, the mine was about as valuable as an Eruption there. Not that useful. And I think because of the tempo, he might be able to make something happen if he's got Life Weaving. Now, Pip should go for this wall because it's got a little bit more health taken off it. There we go, he switched. But you can see there was like 500 power wasted. Yeah, if he focuses this well, it should drop, because Tier 1 fire is really bad against Life Weaving. There we go, it does drop. So Pip is, I hesitate to say back in the game because he still lost a lot of wells, but he's got a tempo push, and he forced Laertes to spam a bunch of Tier 1 units. I would not personally keep going in for this attack. I think that Pip is just going to give up his momentum. He's trading a unit to the units which are good at countering M, and better probably if Pip takes a well. I mean, it's still lost either way, but I think taking a well is getting Pip towards his win condition and forcing Laertes to make the mistake, if that makes sense. This way, I think is just there's no way that Laertes is going to lose this, if that makes sense, right? We're all human, we make mistakes, and one of the best ways to make wins is to put your opponent into a position where they can make mistakes. Fire Dancer should be going straight for the orb, trying to trade well. That was a not very good eruption. Hopefully that was obvious. But yeah, with the Fire Dancer, if you're using the Fire Dancer, you want to go offensively. If you're trying to make trades, then you probably don't want to make the Fire Dancer. So usually I would say making Enforcers and like a Skyfire Drake is usually the best way to make trades. Again, that eruption was not very useful. You traded like 75 power for a little bit of a Nightcrawler's health, and the Nightcrawler is only 60 power. But Laertes has so much power to spend that it's fine. Pip doesn't need a nasty actually. He could have nastied potentially. And Pip is still on the +1 well versus Laertes has +2 wells. And Pip is going offensive. You see the mine. Will Pip notice in time and run away? He does notice. And the Fire Dancer, again, I think it's just going to trade a little bit poorly. Good use of the ability. Pip might still lose his Lost Reaver, but I think he'll get some good trades out of it. Yeah, he killed the Gladiatrix and forced out a mine. Force is a strong word, but the mine came out. And this Fire Dancer is trying to get to the front, but I think won't achieve much. Lost Reaver used the ability. That's a little bit dangerous for Laertes. Laertes has so much power, he needs to be using this power. Right? Like, if he needs to be, he can spam Wildfire, he can spam Disenchant, and this Reaver's not going to be dangerous. But the question is Laertes going to be, a little bit too relaxed and let this offensive come out? Because see, Pip is playing as power limit. Laertes is just chilling with all the extra power, and it might be that he drops as well. Yeah, I think this is actually going to be dropping. Laertes is finally playing the units, but he's playing them kind of way out here in a way that's less effective, and loses to the Lost Reaver. Yeah, so tips here, I would say, for Laertes. 1, use units more ahead of time. 2, defending Lost Reavers, you need to be proactive. Typically, you want to use a Enforcer because they do good DPS, and Wildfire, right? So, especially if you get an Enforcer to, like the Enforcer when it charges, it's going to block the Lost Reaver to prevent it from moving very far. And at the moment when that happens, which is called a body block, then you can also get a lot of damage on Wildfire. So Laertes is just trying to continue brute forcing this well, and Pip has evened up the odds. Right now, Laertes still has a lot more power from earlier in the game, but he has done some remarkably trading. And okay, we're back here. So we might be at the point where this works. Is Pip going to nasty? That could be a juicy nasty. Very good nasty from Pip. Pip is doing everything he can to stay in the game, and he is more or less succeeding. I mean, he's definitely not winning by any stretch of the imagination, but he's taking out some wells. And if he can get into a little bit of a higher power bracket, he could get into a tier 3 situation that might be okay. Although against Fire, actually, this late tier 2 situation where the Lost Reaver is powerful is probably the ideal situation for Souls against Fire. Especially because it looks like Laertes is not running the what do you call them, the Burning Spears? Burning Spears versus Reaver is a bit of a hard call because Reaver is a small counter. So I think the Burning Spears is more efficient than the Reaver in general, but having the Burning Spears gives good slowing ability along with the Gladiatrix, especially because Laertes has so much power, right? So if Laertes was using this power, Pip would not have any power to make a tempo push. Nasty should kill everything here, actually. Yeah, Nasty would kill everything. Good point to know is that Nasty does 440 health, 440 damage, which is just not enough to kill a Gladiatrix or a Skyfire Drake, but it can kill them if they've taken a little bit of damage. Okay, so now Laertes is going in all in on 2 fronts, which is typically not Fire's specialty. And we've got the Glacier out, which means that if you can just penetrate the Glacier, then this is falling. And I think Laertes should have enough power to make that possible. We see Eirias come out on 1 Fire Dancer, but Laertes has 200 power. He could easily make a couple more Fire Dancers. And by the way this is ending, I'm guessing that Laertes pushed through soon. maybe not. Pip looks like he's holding in here. Pip's got some power in the back too. If Pip can hold on, then that was a bit unfortunate, nasty. Yeah, Pip's got so fewer units on the field. He's barely holding on here. Aura might make sense, but I think that there's enough units on the field that it pushes. Yeah, there we go. So good job, Laertes. I think takeaways from here: one, if Laertes had used his power much earlier, then the game would have ended way earlier. Two, when the Lost Reaver comes to attack Laertes, then proactively attacking it using something like an unofficial with body blocking and wildfire, using disenchants against life weaving when necessary. The Gladiatrix also has a disenchant ability, so Gladiatrix is a really good unit to use here. Those are the counters that could be had. And Pip did a really good job of trying to play toward the win conditions. I think that Tier 1 was a bit unfortunate. You'd have to play Shadow, I think, at a really high level to be able to come back from that. And the main thing here, Pip took a greedy well, and Laertes punished that very nicely. And then kept punishing it with Sunders. So I think actually a very solid game overall. I feel kind of bad calling this a rookie review, but that's what it was submitted to me as. So here we go. Rookie reviews, making a comeback. If you are this level or worse, certainly feel free to send me your replays. If for any reason you want me to comment on the replays, feel free to send. There's no threshold for how good you have to be to submit for rookie review. With that, thanks for watching. Hope the audio qualities are better, and let me know what you guys think.